Evening, Tony. How are you? Cool here. Very cool indeed. Good homemade stir-fried rice tonight. Very nice. Oh my goodness. Oh, well, you're getting the good days with the really cold nights. It is now 16 degrees, so that's okay. That's not too bad at night time. Yeah, wood fire, nothing like that. Mind you, we don't have a wood fire in the new section.
No.
We've got one in the old section.
Yeah, it's not usable.
But we just turned the reverse cycle on. I'll have a look. I didn't see today. It wasn't sunny all day today, I must admit. What power did we get from our Solar Edge information? Not bad. 26.67 kilowatts. It's not bad for this time of the year. No, you can't actually. Just even looking at the damn thing, Tony. Forget that it's a wood fire. It's just that sparkle and spittle and blue and green flames and irreplaceable by nature. Of course, push of a button, reverse cycle. 26.6, that's okay for a winter's day. It wasn't always sunny though, a bit cloudy on and off today. Hello, Death and Sage. How are you?
Oh, one time no speak, that's hello.
I like sage in my sausage rolls. Not bad tonight here, is it, Sage? It's 16 degrees where we are. Good, yeah. At the birth of our latest grandson last week. Makes number 10. People playing sport in the park as they can. interesting happened lately? Let's see. The world stage. Yeah, the pandemic's out of control. Victoria's doing it tough, but in Australia, when we decide things are tough, we just lock everyone down. 6-week lockdown for the whole state of Victoria. That'll stop the bugger in its tracks. Though some leaders think locking down is not important. Yes, actually, has the sausage sizzle returned to our Bunnings? I didn't notice.
Sorry?
The sausage.
Actually,
We were there
well,
on a Sunday and it wasn't on, was it?
were we there Sunday?
Yeah, I saw that, Tony. I don't think it'll be long. I think if that lady that runs your estate, Berridge Elkin, just decides to say, let's shut it down for a month, let's just do it, might be a good idea. No one from New South Wales should be bothering going past you to Queensland because they're locking the border. Good on her. Always makes me chuckle when all the state premiers said, WA, open up your border, stop leaving it closed. No, we're not going to. But you've got to open it. No, we're not going to open it. What's everyone else doing now? Well, we don't have any virus, but they're locking down their states because they've got heaps of it. Got to bite the bullet. Do the hard yards. Of course, we've got bullfeds. You believe out of 800 Victorians who had the virus this week, when the ADF or police knocked on their doors, they weren't home. Yeah, you could. Trust me, Death. Just imagine for a moment this is a meteor that hit the Earth, and there's a bacteria that was on the meteor and it's killing people. Yeah, you could do another 6 weeks, no problem. We instinctively have one thing within us as a species. We want to survive. But there are bullfeds out there that say, no, can't do it. I'm going to go out of the house. Good. There was title of the hangout tonight is in reference to a couple of bullfeds. I drove around Melbourne. Police said, what are you doing? They said, none of your business. I said, wind your window down, son. No, I don't have to. I'm a sovereign citizen. Wind your window down, son. No, not going to do it. Policeman, smash, window, drag out, handcuff. Yeah, you are going to open up. You can't do this. You can't do this. Yeah, we can, and we did. But I'm a sovereign citizen. All right, so where do you work? I don't work, so you're on unemployment. Yeah. Well, if you're a sovereign citizen, you probably don't need that money because obviously you're not a citizen of Australia. Maybe I'll phone the Centrelink and get them to cut you, because you don't want to be part of our system. How about we cut your money off from Centrelink? No, not that. I just want to say I'm a sovereign citizen and give you a hard time. Yeah, well, you're in the back of the van there. You're going to spend the night in prison. And the judge will laugh at you in the morning and fine you. Mainly because you're A, out and about when you shouldn't be. And B, you gave us a hard time. You resisted arrest. No, you dragged me through the window. Yeah, but you did resist. You did resist. Yeah, but my feet got caught. It don't matter. That'd probably be a couple of grand for that. A couple of grand for being out when you shouldn't do. Good luck with your sovereignty. Yeah. And what did Australians do? Did they say, oh, you shouldn't have dragged him? No, the all Australians said, you ripped the little shit out of the car. Slap him. You can't do that. I'm a sovereign citizen. Yeah, right. A lot of people have no idea about the sovereign citizenship thing. It normally follows when people love conspiracy theories and they find this sovereign citizenship thing. And they go, oh yeah, I'm going to be one of them as well. I'm not going to pay taxes. no law is against me. I don't have to listen to the law. Really? Wind down your windows, son. No. Well, be interesting to see how many people keep pushing the envelope, because I read yesterday, Tony, that if you're a little shit and you keep doing it, you will go to prison, you will face a magistrate, and he will probably fine you $20,000. That's education, some form, I suppose. I haven't got any money. That's all right. Spend 6 months in prison. No, I got the money. I'll sell the Valiant and the dice as well. All right. You a sovereign citizen? No, just a dickhead. Sorry, mate. Can I not pay the 20? No, you're paying the 20. Grand. Okay. This one I heard from a Queensland cop apparently years ago. Someone hit them with, I'm a sovereign citizen. So you're not a citizen of Australia? No, I'm a sovereign citizen. So you're an illegal? What do you mean? I'm a sovereign citizen. No, you just said you're not an Australian citizen. That means you're an illegal. Where do we send you back to? North Brisbane? No, that would make you an Australian. You're a sovereign citizen. Where's your country? It's on the internet. Oh, I see. So you're a sovereign citizen of the internet. Tell you what, we'll send you to Silicon Valley. That's as close as we can get. Now, fuck off. Yes, they truly believe they shouldn't pay tax. Very much backed by originality in about 1977. 1980, it sort of formulated with a very loose sort of white Christian leader called Hale. However, a white supremacist he was. In fact, the real movement of citizens like that said basically the 14th Amendment in America, which allowed African Americans to be citizens, gave them no right to become this type of citizen, which I find hilarious. Not only racists and white supremacists, but knobheads as well. Pleasure. Sovereign citizens. It's what we call, in reality, paper tigers. They just tie up police time, judges' times, carry on like pork chops, think they're special, when in fact they're absolutely nobody on the dole, expecting that they can speed and not be fined, not pay taxes, don't pay for licences or registration. That's part of their beliefs, by the way. And you can't do anything about it. Well, that's not true. You could find lots of videos on YouTube, but you'll see some funny ones where the people say, oh, I'm a sovereign citizen, I don't recognise the judge. The judge says, okay, 30 days in prison for contempt. Come back and see if you recognise me in 30 days. What? 30 days in prison. What for? Contempt. But I don't recognise your court. All right, let's make it 60. See you in 2 months. Bye. That's always funny. I used to take prisoners for their court hearings to district court judges mainly. And they always had a sense of humour. It was quite funny. Remember one of the boys from the bush was asked, do you plead guilty or not guilty? His answer was, have I got another choice? No, mate, it's you either did it or you didn't. Oh, I did it, yeah. You would always get prison say, can I go home after this? Nah. Yeah, I mean, it's bordering on mental illness. If you think you can live in a country, dictate that no law affects you, but you're happy to take all the goodies from the country like free health. Maybe you're unemployed, you get unemployment benefit, lots of goodies for free, and yet you don't want to be recognised as an Australian citizen, you're a sovereign citizen. Well, it doesn't exist. There is no such thing as sovereign citizenship. It's just people wanting to be paper tigers, to be a pain in the arse to the system, which they're clamping down. I'll give you an idea, Tony. The FBI and the Australian Federal Police treat people that use those words, "I am a sovereign citizen," as a domestic terrorist. I kid you not. Yeah, I imagine. You see them in prison over several years, from being cocky and I know everything, right to just realising they've stuffed up, saying I don't want to come back here. I think that's a good idea. I remember there was this weird bloke. He was weird, and he always come up with these theories. He said, "Look, if I work really hard in prison, boss, and clean my cell and do everything I'm told, do I get out early?" I said, "No, you've got a set sentence." What does that mean? I mean, you've got 18 months. You're doing 18 months. There is no parole. Well, how come some other people get parole? I said, because sometimes the offence is different, and that they'll attach a parole period to it based on good behaviour like you've just mentioned, but yours is not that. Yours is a fixed term. Hell, that's no good. What do you think, boss? Maybe I could get out early? And I said, I could give you a suggestion, but you're not going to get out earlier. I suggest you sleep a lot. You know, let the years and months go by quicker. But in time, it won't change. You're doing 18 months. What if I go off, boss? Well, if you go off and you smash things and fight me and others, there's a court system outside of prison that you faced and you were sentenced to time in prison. But inside prison, there's also a procedure court for offences that you commit within court. And he said, well, what does that mean? I said, well, if me and you have a fight, I'll get a shitload of money, compensation, holidays, extra cash. You will probably do another 3 to 6 months. How does that work out? Well, I've just explained to you, we have a court system within the prison. If you commit a prison offence under the General's laws, the prison will determine the extra time you serve in prison. That's not fair. No, nor is my ass. However, that's the law. So do you want to fight? No. I'm going to lunch. All right, mate. See ya. I knew several prisoners that spent more time in prison for jail time than for their offence, by a long shot. One guy did end up doing nearly 9 years. What was a 2-year offence? 7 years of prison offences add up. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. If you do an offence in prison, your first week's usually chogy. You don't have to be there long to see a lot. It's sort of repetitious, Tony. Like if you were there for a year, you'd see the same shit if you were there for 10 years. Just different person, slightly different circumstance. It's same shit, different day. Not much difference from the outside. Just that there's lots of control measures. Like if you're on the outside and you go to an RSL club and you smash up machines and throw tables and chairs in, eventually your cops will come and they'll arrest you. Maybe 20 minutes later, maybe half an hour. In prison, you play up, start smashing things. Within 2 minutes, you're hog-tied. You're in a very dark room with no windows. And you hear the voices saying, "Can I come out now?" "No, you've only been in there for 10 minutes. "How long am I here for?" "A week." "Okay." So it's the control factor within a prison. The laws changed for bouncers in the late 80s. A lot of bouncers were pretty nasty in the early days. They beat people up to a pulp. Whereas they are very limited. They can restrain within a premises. They cannot touch them outside. That's where all the damage used to get done to patrons from big fellas. Actually, I've seen quite a few bouncers in prison over the years. A little bit overexcited in their job. Doesn't look like any sovereign citizens are coming to the room. Maybe they're just sitting back going, I want to go in there. Chuck me in chuggy. Does it? So much lag, I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. Life is tough. There's always bumps on the road. You've had your fair share of bumps on the road. But there's lots of good bits in between. I think a few young bullheads in the next couple of weeks will be making the papers in regards to spending a few weeks in prison, massive fines, car crushed on public television. That would be good. Well, it's my car, mate. It's all I got. I love it. Don't crush it. Sorry, mate. Shh, crunch. There you go. Put a handle on that. You'll be able to carry what's left of it home. Stick it on your mantelpiece. Yep, you have a good one. What time is it there now? It must be close to 9:30, going to 10. Get some beauty sleep. Hit the road. Have a good one, mate. Stay safe. I'll put the V in there for you. Don't worry, I know what you meant. Dum, 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 dum. Da-da-dum-dum, dum, 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 dum. Software will be auto-installed.
Uh-huh.
I've got a message on my phone.
Oh, which one?
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Is that Tony's show over there? Just Bones?
What channel will you want?
SBS. Where? What?
Life and death in Herculaneum.
What?
Yeah, I can't say it.
Herculaneum?
The other Pompeii.
Herculaneum.
Yeah.
It was on the other side of the mountain. I got hit as well.
So that's what this is.
Ah. Not a good time to be in that area. Mount Vesuvius. Woof.
11 o'clock tonight, 24 hours in emergency.
Right. You have a sleeping after that if you're going to stay up that late. I suggest if you're going to make those things up tomorrow, that you make up the patties in a bowl here. You take the bowl out a lot easier than thinking, oh, I haven't got any of this and I haven't got any of that.
Yeah. And I just throw them over there.
And you're making a potato salad?
I said to her to let me know when I'm there. She hasn't decided. She said she's got potatoes and everything.
Well, then you go.
Yeah, she has all that.
Okay. So you're making the pancakes or just the fritters?
No, just
Blake Ashton.
yeah.
Well, I might shut it down shortly. Doesn't look like any of the global Freemasons are going to make it. Sovereign citizens, wherefore art thou? Cooler weather, good sleeping weather. Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah.
Right. I'll just make a little bit of bag. Here you go.
Would you like me?
Oh, I can get some.
Oh,
That's cool.
yeah, and central. Well, you wake up then.
Next time I better start singing at night for mating season.
Is anyone there? Hello? Hello? Nope. They're all busy. too busy. Everybody must be working. I've been talking but no one's answering.
Oh.
I think you've got a free lurkers in there.
Through there. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the meeting of the sovereign citizenship of the world. Please sign at the door. Hello, Niculescu. How are you?
Oh, Sid was just about to read some poetry.
Once upon a time, the boy stood on the burning deck. I better not tell them, they're a bit rude.
No limerick.
Not too bad here tonight. It's 16 degrees, which is cool. But we're getting by. People playing sport in the paddock. S&M, you must have come in the wrong door. Niculescu, wrong door. No, you're looking for S&D, M&Ms.
M&M's a nice chocolate. Popcorn. What sort of popcorn?
Organic, I hope. Made at home. I've seen some people make some big mess making popcorn at home. It's always funny.
Just easy to get the microwave.
Oh, shit, it's going everywhere.
Do it outside in a big pot or just make it in the microwave. Actually, I think it's probably out of date now. I had that bacon.
Caramel, sugar, warning, warning.
I had that bacon, maple bacon flavoured popcorn sitting next to the microwave there. Forgot to do.
All right.
I don't know if it's still in date.
I don't know. You can buy the caramelised popcorn at the shops, and man, it's just full of sugar.
Sometimes you buy that for yourself.
Oh, I haven't bought it for a long time.
No, actually you haven't, but you used to.
But too sweet. What's been happened in Manchuria? Anything exciting? Have they locked you down again yet?
She probably can't type because she's eating popcorn.
She's got little bits of sugar residue, with saliva all over the keyboard. Oh shit! Blame the dog, Mum. The dog's eating caramel popcorn all over my computer again. Yes, dear. Well, Victoria, which is the state of Australia, is now in complete lockdown. You can only go out to the shop, doctors, will be taken in an ambulance.
You can only go out one person
Yep.
from the family per day, no more than 5 kilometres.
That's right. They have tried to ban sick. No, actually, they've even talked about that here. The Premier was quite funny and saying, he said, oh, look, if you've got a partner, what it is after 8 o'clock because it's curfew, if you happen to be at her house, you've got to stay there till morning.
Is that what he meant?
So you can have your little nookie, but you can't, like, go home at 9 o'clock at night. Wow. We had, title of the room, as you would see, is a certain subject. And the reason for it is a sovereign citizen who is a repeat offender going out after curfew to go to Kentucky and all sorts of things, was told, you can't keep doing this, son. And he yelled back, he wound the window down about a quarter inch and said, I don't recognise you, police.
Oh, I heard that.
I'm going to go on my way. And the police said, no. Wind your window down, son. We need to talk to you. You breached quarantine again. No, I don't recognise you. And the officer said, I'll tell you one more time. Wind your window down. And the bloke said, no, I don't recognise you. Smash. Dragged the bloke through the window, handcuffed him, looked at him and said, you will comply. I know my rights. Yeah, we do too. We're police officers. You've just breached quarantine. It's a $3,600 fine. You will go to the magistrate court in the morning, but you're spending the night in jail. But I'm a sovereign citizen. Good on you, mate. You tell the judge that. So, were people in Australia outraged because that happened? No, they all laughed. I thought, you nong. And he will get a big fine. Oh, you are here. You can meet people for a quickie here, but if you go over to the place between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. and you get back before 8 p.m, you're good. As long as they live 5 kilometres or less from you. You might have to find a new nookie partner if your girlfriend's like 10 mile away. It's not going to work. And you have to stay. Yeah, I'm all for it. If people are not willing to be reasonable and comply, and people will scream and shout, oh, it's my liberties and freedom. No, it's your auntie and your uncle who are dying, and you're going out partying and bringing the shit back and giving it to them. So if you're out, 3,500 quid seems very reasonable. There's an old bloke who made an appearance on television, and he leaned forward and said, you young people, I know you don't want to, but let me tell you, you don't have to do this again for another 100 years, all right? Put up with the shit for a little while, and in 100 years' time, it's probably going to happen again. Emphasising the point, this is the extraordinary times we live in. Well, let's weigh up the consequences of you not leaving home for the last 6 months. Is your mum okay? Is your dad okay? Are you okay? If something from a meteor hit the earth and on it was a bacteria that was flesh-eating, you'd still have bullfeds go and touch it. You know that, don't you? And they'd die. But a lot of people say, no, that bacteria off that meteorite is dangerous. That asteroid had all sorts of nasties on it. And the government told us through the chief health officers, this bacteria won't survive on planet Earth after a few years. But it's an oxymoron. Like people say, oh, you're infringing on my rights, and I'm thinking, I don't know whether you've got a grandmother or grandfather that could tell you stories of the Second World War. Forget about the First World War. How they had to go into Anderson shelters, sometimes stay there for days, or go into the underground and be told by a signalman that no, you still can't go out. The bombing's continuing for days. You have to stay down here. And women and children and men would urinate on the tracks. That's what they were told to do at Kaliska. It's the only place that they knew after a period of time, at least, it was a lot more hygiene than doing it under the seat. And they got water to them, a bit of food, and they got by. But what I'm trying to emphasise, they did what they had to do. I remember a metaphor that Boris Johnson used about 4 months ago, referencing World War II. I wish he'd do more. The death rate in the UK has been horrendous. There's no other two ways to look at it. So if you've been stuck at home for 6 months and you're still kicking and breathing and laughing and carrying on like a pork chop, good. This thing's not going anywhere for a long time. Like in my state, 3.5 million people in a big state. We don't have anything here at all. Drive over to Victoria, which is probably a day and a half's drive from here, at least.
It's day and a half.
There's 500 people a day getting the virus, and they're burying 10 or 11 people a day. That doesn't seem big numbers, and in the context of the world, it's not. But they've locked down everything. I don't think you need to worry about the numbers, whether they're accurate or not. The fact is the virus is very real, and it kills. Well, yeah, you can say that, but you don't have any facts to back it up, and they don't have any facts to contradict you. So the fact is, it does kill people. Truth is something that is evolved. Maybe when you're my age, Nicoleska,
Then the truth will be
maybe
out.
you'll get the truth.
Look how long it took for the truth to come out with the Spanish flu. Look how long it took the truth to come out with the, what's the name? Oh, the gas chamber thing. What's that?
The Holocaust.
Yeah, the Holocaust. Nothing comes out quick.
Truth is subjective. In other words, it depends who's in power, what they wish to devolve as truth or not. But we don't have to buy anything. We don't have to believe anything. We just need to know this is real. Wherever it came from, it's irrelevant now. And you keep hearing, I don't know whether you're hearing it over there, but every day someone in the US or Europe saying, well, we're very close to the vaccine.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing that.
It's
actually.
like, we all know what they're really saying is that we're really close to the money.
Yeah.
The money's coming, yeah.
So what have you been doing with your time? You see, you could write things down. You could sit down with your mum and dad, Nicole, and get them to tell their
Write a
life
diary.
stories. Huh?
She could be like Anne Frank.
Yeah.
In Mank. Did you see what I just did there, Nicole? Anne Frank in Mank. You could write a diary. You're not living in an attic, but you could, you know, you could dramatise it a little bit. Dog bit me Thursday morning.
Yeah, just think. That's what I said to quite a few people at the beginning of all this. Write stuff down.
Well, the contradiction of terms comes down to the bottom line. Scientists today believe, without doubt, that in was it Fort Worth? Anyway, it was in 1917 in America where 300 or 400 people died of a flu-like symptom. Weeks after that, 50,000 American troops went to Europe. 3 months after that, another 150,000 troops went to Europe. Then Europe got the plague of the virus, the Spanish flu. And the reason it's called the Spanish flu is crazy, because what it was, the Spanish government gave everyday details of deaths. So they told the truth. You can look at historical up about what I'm saying. And they said 700 dead, 1,800 dead, 1,400 dead, 2,000 dead. They would just keep publishing the realities of who died. So what did the world think that they would call the flu? The Spanish flu. Never came from Spain. Came from the United States. So hearing rhetoric from a certain president at the moment that China should pay. Well, maybe there's a retrospective death total of around 50 to 100 million people around the world between 1917 and 1919. Maybe the US owes a few country money based on the current president's theory that if China developed or spread this flu, they should pay for it. I think he forgot about the Spanish flu, which actually was the American flu in 1917 that killed, in the end, between 50... See, that's the truth. You're trying to chase. The truth is that they can't give you a real figure, but they can estimate between 50 and 100 million people.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of things that you could say the spread of the disease has caused, like after Ramadan. And I'm not blaming Muslims at all, but this is a fact. is that they have a feast called Eid, and they all gather, and it's a celebration. It's part of their culture with their religion. And in parts of Victoria, recently, after Ramadan and Eid came along, what did they do? They all gathered in hundreds and celebrated and feasted. And now they're burying lots of their people.
Yeah, that's Victorian.
So culturally, things have spread the disease. The same thing happened in Indonesia, exactly the same thing. People were told that within a week there would be a lockdown. So what did they do? Jakarta has 25 million people in it. 5 million people left Jakarta and took the virus with them. But there's a lot of facts melded into fiction to give people's opinions in many cases.
They're playing in the road.
Maybe it's the same plane and doing circles.
I don't think so. Yeah, so what you been up to then, Nicole? What is it? Write a book.
You've got to start a diary.
Yeah.
You are going to live a lot longer than I, Nicole. And even you can catch up on your diary. You can start at the start of 2020. And then that will be a historical book for you in the years to come. You haven't been feeling well, you have a cold. We don't have colds here. We eat lots of garlic and onions and chilli and ginger.
Oh, people do get colds. We've touched wood, we've just been lucky. Doesn't help with the weather though. Got to say that.
It's freezing here, 16 degrees Celsius, Nicole. Can you imagine how cold that is?
Nicole's summer. Is it your summer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's summer there. Mind you, at this time of the year, you might get another good month of summer. But the nights will be getting colder shortly.
It's always cold. You like it? That's true.
I tell you what Manchester is, and Nicole lives there. If you wanted to describe the sky for most of the year, you'd use one word, grey.
But
It was always grey when I went to Manchester.
I was always freezing when we were over there last year. No, hang on, where are we? When did we go? Last year, yeah.
May and June.
Jeez, the time's just going.
I'm surprised there's not a conspiracy theory that we actually started the virus, because as soon as we left Europe, what happened?
I was always cold, but we did have sunny days, really, didn't we? We didn't have a lot of miserable days.
No, it was amazing. We had one day of drizzle, but we were actually travelling at the time, so we weren't in it. We never got wet once. I kept saying to my wife, I'm saying, this is not normal, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, but there were times I was cold. I don't think I ever took my jacket off. I know, there was one or 2 days.
I walked around in
wasn't there?
t-shirts and shorts.
That's right.
Cold. As long as my top half's warm, I'm good. The legs, I don't really care.
It's just amazing though when I was turning on TV now and it's about that area or stuff or where we've been. I think, oh, I've seen that. I've been there. It's exciting. It's going to relate to it that we've seen it.
Andrews made a comment off the cuff. He was saying, no, people don't have to wear masks if they don't want to. They just have to get used to prison food. And I thought, fair enough.
Oh, where's that paper for that lot? We haven't lost it.
No, it's up there.
Because that light came on again when I was getting the washing in.
What line? At the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, it shouldn't come on during the day.
In Victoria, you have to wear a mask if you leave the house. You can take it off when you get back home.
Yeah. Awesome.
Look, they're not leaving the people in the lurch in Victoria. Give you an idea, they're getting an extraordinary payment of $1,500 a fortnight. Their childcare, if they do go to work, is free. It's bad there. No, it's only bad in Victoria. We've got 7 state and territories, and that's only Victoria. There's no problem in the Northern Territory, South Australia, Queensland, WA. There's a bit in New South Wales, and there's nothing in Tasmania. So it's really just Victoria, but they've shut Victoria down. All the borders are closed. You cannot get in or out.
So that shouldn't come on during the day.
Okay.
Just reading it.
Our border's been closed since early March in Western Australia, and all the other states, when things started to get better, saying we've got to open our border up, it's unconstitutional, you're doing the wrong thing. And we said, no, we're keeping it closed. They said, no, you got to open it. No, we're keeping it closed. It's still closed. And now they're closing their borders. But we don't have any virus.
Yeah, it's just in another state. It's not our state. There's 3 states that are affected. We're not one of them.
You can't transmit the disease if you can't go to another state. So a lot of people saying, oh, but we want to move to Western Australia. We said, yeah, no worries. As soon as the borders open, by all means. We want to come there now. No, sorry. It sounds draconian, I know, Nicole. But if we were a village, you and I and 20 other people, and we heard around the mountains that people are dying in their hundreds, we wouldn't go there, would we? That's a bit a lot of people get confused about. If you think your rights and freedoms are being infringed upon, you need to take into things like the context. Why are they asking you to wear a mask? Why are they asking you to stay home? Well, not much different than the Black Plague. Well, the abundance happened. I don't think I was around. I could have been, I'm not sure. The plague that hit London in 1665 was followed by the fire of London in 1666. And ironically, although all of London didn't burn, a lot of it did, started in Pudding Lane, I believe. Probably one of your ancestors from Manchester. I'm not sure.
In a baker.
But it cleansed the city, ironically. Though they didn't know that. There've been many bubonic plagues through the UK, just not 1665, repetitions over many centuries. But it was an irony that the plague came, thousands, I think 2/3 of the population of London died. It was at the time of, what was his name? Charles II. Charles II decided that he would go to Oxford whilst the plague was in place, and all the people of London didn't like that. But what Charles did redeemed himself. He was a bit of a ponce, apparently, Charles II. But he went back to London when the fire of London burnt. He was actually in the streets with normal people helping to put out fires, which was fruitless, but he was there, and he was admired for doing so. So within 12 months, leaving London because of the plague in 1665 and being called an arsehole, he was then called a hero because he was trying to help put out fires in 1666. You see how your political and rule can change based on what you do? If we talk of plagues, pestilence, and all those things that you've read, you start thinking about this virus, it's bad, but we have the benefit of modern science and technology. They didn't have that hundreds of years ago. So we are, without doubt, losing less people now than we would have done if this had hit 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Proof in the pudding, Spanish flu, again incorrectly named, but 50 to 100 million people. Staggers when you think the population was nowhere near what it is now. a epidemiologist report suggesting that the people that are recovering from having the virus are really susceptible for minor ailments in the future because they've weakened systems to the point that there is no antibodies as such that are full term. They could get it again, but they're saying things like the common cold, the flu, or because of the damage done to organs, heart, liver, lung, eyes, kidney, brain, they're now susceptible for other things. Yeah, the biggest one they've done, I think, since Sweden, where they've studied, see the figures that no one questions. I've mentioned this many times. Let's say 100,000 people have had the infection, 10,000 die, and 60,000 people have recovered. There's still a 20,000 difference that no one talks about. Okay, well that adds up to be 80,000. What's happened to the 20,000? Well, some are still in hospital, some are at home recuperating, can't work, some have gone blind, some have got kidney problems, heart problems, some have had strokes. So the true depth of this virus on its impact of death is final, but the impact of longevity after having the virus, that's a big study being undertaken as we speak. And it's not showing good reports, is all I can say. We lost a 30-year-old in Australia today in Victoria. Haven't read the full details of whether he had underlying medical issues or not, but we've lost 40-year-olds this week, 50-year-olds this week.
But most of them this week were over the age of 80.
Yeah, 70 and 80. And sadly, we lost someone that was 103 or something. So I always find people that are dismissive of the reality of what we're going through a problem for me. I mean, it's real. It's very sad. I mean, it's something we take up the consequence of. Give you an idea in your family. Let's talk about, say it was you, and I don't ever wish this to be, but say you were a victim of this virus, Nicole. There's probably associated with you within families at least 20 to 30 people that get affected because of your loss. And when you multiply that by tens of thousands, it means the whole country is associated with people that they knew or they were relatives of. And it's very real for them. There's nothing wrong with having principles. But when a volcano explodes, you don't just stand there and say, look at the pretty colours, Nicole, what do you think? I'd turn around, all I'd see is your heels and dust running into the... Why is she running away from such beauty? Because she's smart. It went boom, and it's going to get real hot, real soon.
It's noisy over there tonight.
Yeah, playing sport. I remember reading a book by a German who was a numbers man. Nothing to do with the Holocaust, nothing like that. He was distribution of trucks, ammunition, fuel, so that was his position. But he wrote sort of a diary based on how the whole country had turned cold. No one smiled. That sort of diary. He wore a uniform. He was despised by his family members. He wasn't SS, he was just a German soldier. And it boiled down to what he meant was that the whole country, under this type of issue, just went cold and heartless. But we, as a people and a species, are very good at repeating the same mistakes over and over. But we still haven't seen a citizen of sovereignty come into the room and voice their opinion. I'm a bit disappointed. Maybe they're contacting their country. Well, they don't actually have a country, do they? If they're a sovereign citizen,
It's such a stirrer.
they basically, the only country they have is the internet. Because saying you're sovereign is like saying you're king. I will decide the laws.
Well, I'll buy
I'm sovereign, give me my right. You don't need any rights if you're sovereign. You are it.
I will, what is it? How much land can you buy and become a lord or something in Scotland? What I was telling you about it. I don't know, a little bit of land.
What do you mean? Like just a piece of paper saying you're a lord?
Yeah, because you...
Well, that's as much as being a sovereign citizen. It means
because
nothing.
you can buy...
What did Nicole say? I do agree with it, with a country coughs Brexit. I've always said, and I had a couple of conversations with some people in the UK, and I said, let's be honest, there was a vote taken, so it should just happen. I would suggest, if I was in the House of Commons, I'd say, excuse me, Black Rod, I want to speak. All right, Seed's going. Right, not everyone's happy with this Brexit thing. How about in 2025 we have another vote and we don't bicker and carry on like pork chops going round in fucking circles for years? That's a good idea. What do you think, Prime Minister? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll have another vote in 2025. No, there's always a possibility of a vote, Nicole. That's not how Westminster works. But because the people spoke, and then a lot of people after thought, oh, maybe that was a mistake. It's irrelevant. It's a referendum, which is only offered to the people on certain subjects, and they like gay marriage, if you like, rights for women, same thing happened, etc. In 71, votes for African Americans, etc. So it's not as if you ask for a referendum, it happens, and then you don't agree with it. That's okay, you don't have to agree with it. You just got to live with it. And I had one bloke who was anti-Brexit, and I said, why don't we just move forward and do it? And everything falls apart, you can always go back. He said, oh, you can never go back. I said, yes, you can. I left this country as it was joining the EU on the promise of cheap butter. I kid you not. Cheap dairy, cheap cheese. Sausages from Germany.
Caramelised sausage?
I don't think caramelised onion sausages were part of the EU deal of getting Britain to join. Well, it always was. Like I said, if I pulled out Germany and France from the EU, what have you got? I hear crickets in the background. Nothing. You got nothing. Like I say, Britain pulling out of the EU was a big thing. But I know it's hard to understand my next statement, but Britain will be stronger for it in the future. It really will. It really will. It will bring back manufacturing. It will bring back a little bit initially of nationalism, which I'm not keen on, but I don't mind someone in Britain standing up and saying I'm British and this is made in Britain and I'm buying it. That I'm happy with. The Australians and the British government have been in talks well before the decision to end and leave Brexit, because the British want to buy our stuff, as you know, we want to buy their stuff. We want cooperation in manufacturing both here and there. We want a collusion in regards to sharing the wealth that we buy things from overseas elsewhere at the moment, and we want to spend it in Britain. It doesn't take any longer for container ships to come from Britain to Australia as it does from China to Australia. The thing I've always despised about the EU, and I don't hate it, but I despise, is they've always never really helped countries. I mean, I could name them: Portugal, Italy, Spain. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, Nicole? They sort of allowed them in and basically just carried them on debt. Greece, another example. So these countries involved with the EU really don't go anywhere. And I think you'll find the British government will open its borders to seasonal workers on a different platform. You will simply get a 12-month temporary visa to work in the UK. That's how it will work. Because I heard people screaming, oh, we're not going to have anyone to pick the fruit and the apples and work in the... Yes, you will. You will. It will happen. It will be a separate platform. It'll be people from Poland arriving in London discussing the accommodation and the wages for their workers to come to England, and there'll be a fair and equitable distribution, etc. That's how it will work. Not what happened in the past. Let's be honest. Most of the people working in Britain picking were there illegally anyway. They all live in doss houses. You're from Manchester, you know what a doss house is. They all lived hand to mouth, went home with bugger all. Really didn't make any money. So if the price of apples go up by 10% because they're paying a fair wage, so be it. That's how it works. That's how I would like you to get paid. So I believe it's for the betterment of the British people. Yes, exactly. Because there were all sorts of things going on with immigration. Look, Britain, we've got to be brutally honest here, Britain is nearly at the end of immigration. Just natural population, birth. Britain is really tiny, Nicole. There's lots of fields still, meadows and dales and moors, I know. But the structure of Britain is limited in the end to the amount of people that can live there. So, and you can't keep building high-rises. You end up building pigeonholes for people that end up going crazy. And that happens. We all know the old housing commissions of the 50s and 60s, particularly around Manchester. There was a lot of them. So there has to come to a balance, which means that eventually there'll be a population cap, whereas if the population increases exponentially, naturally, without immigration, there'd be no need for immigration. Actually, there'd be no possibility of immigration, is probably what I'm saying. It's a totally different story in Australia. We have had scientists for 20 and 30 years do studies, and they all come back with the same answer. It's between 42 and 45 million people can be sustained. Now, that's got nothing to do with food. That has to do with just one other thing, water. The law states people fleeing to safety go to the next safe country, being funneled through 5 to 10 countries. Yeah, we all know that story. Turkey released, how many did Turkey release into the European Union? I think it was 3 million people last year or something. We saw the impact in Stuttgart of immigrants who had nowhere to live, in their hundreds, and I mean visibly in their hundreds. You walk down the street at night time, and Germany's a bit like the UK. You've got little alcove door entries to go into a shop. There'd be mum, dad, auntie, kids, babies, all wrapped in big tarps, living in a doorway during the day. Yep, that's right. Italy had major crisis. My goodness, how many people did the Italian lifeguard save? Must be tens of thousands. To save their lives, first of all, from drowning. Didn't save everyone, though. But I think it's one of those things that there's an equilibrium, a balance will naturally take place eventually. It just cannot keep being the status quo. The anti-EU sentiment actually comes from most EU countries. I don't know how people have survived in Greece, Portugal, parts of Spain. You name all these countries that are peripherals of the EU. Well, globalism will always fail at the hands of nationalists. In other words, countries like the idea of globalism, until their country is impacted, i.e. immigration, lower standard of living, suddenly realise this isn't working out. This is only favouring a few countries.
Never get there. I'd like to go to Pompeii.
Pompeii or Herculaneum?
Both.
Yeah, we're going to Pompeii.
I'd like to go look around there.
No, I don't think that will ever happen. I don't think there will ever be a single world currency. There may be no money in the future, which I suppose you could say is the same currency. It's digital. But you've got too much, what's the word to use here? In each country, they've got their own identity. Even though wherever we've been in big cities around the world, you could be in any city. It's all multicultural. Some differ in different parts, but basically the same. So that's globalism. If you want to use a word to describe what big cities around the world look like, they've been planned out to be multicultural. And there is a thought process in having many diverse cultures in one area usually allows the tolerance between people to exist, which has happened to a certain extent. It's funny, in our country there are many mosques, there are many Jewish temples, but I've got to tell you, all around my country, hardly anyone goes to church anymore in any dominion because they don't trust them. We've had a cultural enlightenment of behaviour by Christian and you name it. All these institutions have had the same sexual deviancies. So churches are nearly empty. I'm pretty sure, I remember as a kid going through Manchester and there were quite a lot of churches, not all huge churches, but there were churches. I'll guarantee there's only a few people sitting on the pew Sunday morning. It's the same here. Catholic churches used to have a mass at 6, 8, 10:30, 1, 4.
No, we're ahead midnight.
Midnight masses, but they have like, if you want to come, we're open 10 a.m. Sunday, if you want to come. There is no such thing as Sunday school anymore. There was a church we went to Vietnam, I think I told you about, it's called the One Eye. And one of the guys said they have their religion. It's a mixture of Catholicism, Buddhism, Hindu. It's got a whole bunch of things thrown in. But they had a centre column where they said anyone from any religion can come and sit up against the column. And that column was just a way to the ceiling and to the sky. In other words, whatever religion you are, you can contact your God here. They wouldn't question you.
That was the one, but males and females were separated.
It was blue, yellow, reds, ochres, all different. It was such a colourful church.
It was, but male and female was separated at a certain part of the church. Remember, we could walk in together, but then we had to go a different way to you.
That's right. That's, I mean, Nicole's studying Buddhism. There's a lot of that in Buddhism. It's not totally sexist, but it has its lines of thought and processes in regards to prayer, etc. I mean, they don't have mixed monks, is what I'm saying.
Mm.
Nicole would be right being a monk. She'd be like going down at the local bookie shop saying, I'll have one each way. And he'd be saying, yeah, you're good. You're good to go. You just have to take the lippy off before you kiss Buddha. But it's one of those things. Religion has always been aimed at being the only one. Whatever religion is, they want to fight over it. No, Buddhism is probably one of what I call the easy stairway to heaven, even though enlightenment's not easy. But it allows you access. Buddhism allows everyone access. We're in a temple. Where we were recently, was that Germany? Where you went to that?
No, that was Thailand,
Oh, we went to Thailand and they had
and I stuffed it up.
a complex of buildings, but everyone from every religion was welcome. And you were burning incense at certain things
Yeah.
and other areas and wrapping gold leaf around, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. You'd have loved it. Thailand is the place you need to go one day, Nicole. You'll fall in love with Thailand.
Yeah, my daughter went and saw that.
Yeah.
She said it was amazing. Even at that stage, the grandson was 10. Even he was in
Even
awe
in
of it.
yeah, even in a tourist spot like Phuket, and it's predominantly tourism, you only got to go out of the city by a couple of k's, and there are temples everywhere, all devoted to different aspects of Buddhism. And one of the things that fascinated me, I did some video and asked permission to do it, and he said, yes, of course. And I filmed a few of the very important people that are buried within the complex. And to give you an idea, the most recent person buried on the tombstone, if you like, it was a bit different, but the tombstone said the year 5577. They don't have 2020 in Thailand.
Because we've got lurkers, Nicole, that's why.
Oh, it's quite easy to explain why you're the only person, because they're sovereign citizens, Nicole. They don't have to speak. They don't recognise the room.
You'll get to go, Nicole. Just put it out to the universe and picture yourself going, and you will go one day, and you will enjoy it.
Met quite a lot of British in Thailand, didn't we?
Now, when we went to Thailand, there was heaps of Russians.
No, Russians, but there was a few bombs. You could tell because they're lying on the streets spewing early in the morning. I don't feel well.
How far is Thailand from England? Like
Oh, I think it's
flying?
about 11 hours. Nicole.
11?
Yeah.
What is it for us, 6?
It would only be 5 if we could fly there direct.
Oh, that's right. 'Cause
But
you've
we've got to go to either
Singapore.
Kuala Lumpur or Singapore to get there.
Yeah, because from Singapore...
Pretty sure it's about 11 from
Actually,
the UK.
from Singapore to Thailand, wherever you land, where do we land? Phuket?
Well, we went to Phuket, yeah.
It was an hour and a half flight, wasn't it?
It's nothing.
Yeah, and from here to Singapore was 5 hours.
Yeah. But you go from
Is
here
that
to
right?
Kuala Lumpur, it's only
Yeah.
like 3.5. It's just their delegation of allowance to get in the country.
You'll get to go one day. Just put it out there. We'll meet you there, Nicole.
She'll have the big mascara on and put hands up and those little tower hats on.
Well, you can't.
Namaste.
You look
Seats.
even taller.
So in Vietnam it was funny. No, I'm not porky by any means, but I'm big. And we went into a temple in Vietnam and they were lovely people. Vietnamese people are very friendly. They are incredibly friendly. Whatever you think of the Vietnamese in Britain, they're not like that at all. They're totally different. But there would have been, and the Vietnamese women are only like, at best, 5 foot tall, but some are a lot shorter. They all kept coming up rubbing my belly.
Yeah, they kept going up the
It was
stairs.
like-
They were all over
They
it.
were women. They weren't kids. They were women. And they were, and they all come up and rub, and I'm
And
thinking,
we finally worked
are you
out
girls
why.
finished? Are you right there? I could have just sat in the temple all day and they would have been rubbing my belly for good luck.
And I kept calling him Buddha.
Vietnam's very beautiful. Lots of things to see in Vietnam. Yeah, I think Korea would be an experience, but it's a pretty limited one. Korea is not a big country by any means. But if it's just the food you're going for,
Well, the food and the coffee.
I'm sure it has its local colloquial flavour in Korea, but we've had Korean food all over the world. What do Koreans love most, other than kimchi? Pork. They love pork. If you're ever going to travel in a country, and I'd always suggest you go with someone, because A, you can share the experience and the expense, but you've got a bit of safety in numbers is what I'm saying. Do it by train.
Yeah, it'd be good if you go with someone.
Yeah. It's like an experience. It's hard to explain to somebody in detail. But if you have a companion that you go with, you can relive the experience. And it's very vivid between two people. It's very hard to explain how beautiful things were, is what I'm saying. And a picture does not tell 1,000 words. I don't know where your priorities are there, Nicole. You'll end up with a partner in the future and you can travel the world together. There you go. Travelling around, we already knew, travelling around Europe is relatively cheap.
Yeah.
Like we went on first class, high class trains. They weren't expensive, 20 or 30 quid. Well, you're now into Buddhism. You have to understand there is yin and yang.
Yes.
There is give and take, but giving mostly. One who is pissed off must realise the pissee from the pissor, there is very little difference. As Confucius once say, if you're a vengeful person before you undertake your trip, dig 2 graves. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm saying be more selective. Yin and yang. You know when you go into a shop and you see something and it's perfect, it's what you want. You buy it, you think, I've always wanted this. You place it on the mantelpiece and then you notice you didn't see it before. But there's like crack in it. And the enamel's sort of coming away. But you never saw that before. And then in your heart you think it's no longer perfect. Well, if the concept of you initially buying it was absolutely what you wanted, it doesn't matter if it has imperfections, is what I'm saying.
I think instead people might come and talk to what is titled to.
Sovereign citizens of the world, step forward. I think it's true in many aspects, because there is, and from Manchester, it's very much, it's just people playing sport across the paddock. But there is need and there is greed. The definition between two can sometimes be blurred by people. Oh, I've always needed this. No, in aspects of the truth, you've always wanted that. Need is totally different than want. But people blur the distinction between it. Hello, Scarlett. Talking about Buddha and the meaning of life. Yep, that's it. That's it in a sentence. You needn't have to explain it to anyone else any other way other than the basics of life and shelter. Everything else is a bonus.
We don't have any wants. Well, we just want.
We tend to only get things
And
we
help the
need.
family.
We plan the extension, which is different.
Yeah.
It wasn't a want, it was a plan. It was like, this is what we need.
No, but it was a sort of a would like.
Yep.
certain things.
But you often hear people say, I want to do this and I want to do that, and that's great. But they're only wants. And they can happen in time. Patience.
Yes, I will want my bed shortly.
It's funny you say that. I collect figurines. But I try to only get them when I know I can and don't try to put myself into struggles. I enjoy things. But try not to go overboard. We were in a second-hand shop today. And I bought 2 big oval plates. They're big.
They're serving plates.
But I'm going to, when the boys, eldest sons are big eaters, so that'll be for them. But as we were leaving, I've noticed on the wall, in the same colours as, what's that plate that you get?
I like blue willow.
Like blue willow, there was this figurine. And in our back garden, we got half a dozen of them already. And I said, quick, don't say anything and we can leave without it.
I call them the blue people. There's a story behind it. When I was about 8, I bought these, I don't know, do you know that, like, how do you say it, Renaissance style clothing, is that, is that how you say the word?
That's good enough. Yep.
Renaissance or something?
We'll make it
clothing.
Renaissance.
You know, figurines, they're usually blue and white, sitting on chairs with fans or stuff like that. I bought them, saved all my money, bought them for Mum when I was about 8, and of course when she passed, nobody wanted
Yep,
them.
Renaissance, Nicole.
Yeah.
Go with the flow.
I can't say. Nobody wanted them, so it was a big joke in the family. I called them my blue people. So they're in the back, they're in the back garden now.
I don't know why, but they are.
Because it's just funny.
Should do a video of it.
Yeah, I should. I bought them for Mum when I was little.
She never liked them.
No, she did.
Not really.
I can't believe what people try and sell them for, or what people buy them for. I wouldn't pay that price now. I mean, they must have been so cheap back when I bought them.
They were a mantelpiece, glass cabinet piece type thing. But served no real purpose.
See, I love blue willow, but these aren't blue willow. These are just.
Is that from the Renaissance period or the Renan? What did you say?
Renaissance.
The Renaissance, yeah. Just before the Edwardian. Sorry, just before the Edwardian period and the Victorian.
But anyway, no, well, Mum thought they were a lovely gift, and one of them was a single dancing figurine, like a music thing. But I gave that to the granddaughter, and she absolutely loved it.
It's funny. I was out there with Luella the other day, and she said when I was moving stuff, she wanted to keep moving them.
I know, she likes to move them, yeah.
She said, this one needs to go there, and that one's lonely. That one's got to go with that one.
That's fine, she can move them. But it's just sort of a family joke now, the blue people.
I was amazed at these anime collections, cat-type looking figures and action heroes. They sell for a fortune. The ones that were done in the 70s and 80s, when anime really sort of was really only a Japanese thing, I suppose. But yeah, the early collection pieces are worth a lot of money now. I find them awful, to be honest.
What's that?
Well, I suppose you'd have to say the anime type character, but it's so broad now.
Oh, some of them are cute. Some of them I like, but yeah, I'm not that refined, Nicole. God, I can't even say the word.
I like a nice teapot, I'll be honest with you, but it's in the morning it would only be me having a cup of tea.
Oh, I like to have nice teapots. I've got 3 or 4.
Might go back to having a cup of tea in the morning. Nothing like a nice piece of Renaissance. Stick on the mantelpiece.
It's just another word I can't say. And then, of course, you can get these same figures. They come in brown and white. Yes, that's just a family joke.
Never been big on green teas or chamomile or things like that. A lot of people are, and it's historically traditional in many countries, not just Japan, China, it's many countries. Glazed brown English teapots.
Yeah, I think I know what ones you mean, Scarlett.
I love green tea. It's very good for you.
It is.
However, I also like donuts with it. Nicole? Nicole?
I tried seeds on green tea. I used to drink it. I don't like it anymore, but when I gave him a cup, it was
I
like,
tried it. I
he
tried it.
said, what's this piss?
No, it's like, I think one that I did like was something in ginger, jasmine and ginger. And I'm thinking, yeah, I could sip that, but it's not going to be something I'm going to go for. Like, do you want a cuppa? Yeah, give me one of those jasmine and gingers.
No, that's not seeds.
No.
Used to love
Strong English tea.
peppermint.
Let it soak so it goes really black. Add a bit of milk. That'll do me.
Well, I buy the
Or as we would
extra
say in the
strong.
old days, where I used to live, cup of char. Had a cup of char, Nicole?
I used to like peppermint, but my favourite is strong English breakfast tea.
Yes. Earl Grey.
No, I don't like Earl Grey.
What do we get?
We get English breakfast.
Twinings?
Twinings, yeah.
Right, that sounds fancy. I think it's about $5 for 100 tea bags or something.
No, it's not.
On special.
Twinings, English breakfast, normal or strong, 100 is $11. That's why I only buy it when it's on special.
I've just read all those teas you talked about, Nicole. Do they all go with donuts? That's my question. Donuts in Australia, you go into a shop and for some reason they just about give them away. You know, a 6-pack of chocolate coated or different coloured icings on them, $1.50. Cost them more to make it than that. And yet, people just chuck them in, those little 6-packs of donuts. All different colours, like they're cheap. To make them,
Yeah.
you couldn't make them for the price of what they
But
sell
if you
them.
notice they're cheap, but the size of donuts have actually got smaller.
Oh dear, smaller donut. I drink Bewley's tea, Red Rose and Tetley.
I've never heard of breweries. I used to buy Tetley, but when I found English breakfast,
Probably the most
that was it.
common tea in Australia is Bushels.
Yes, bushels.
I never had a tea bag till I came to Australia. The explosion in Beirut, well, it was confiscated nitrate from different ships from Africa and they stored it in the wrong place.
Yeah, very sad.
Then they had a massive fireworks eruption. It was huge. The fire on the fireworks was monstrous. And then the building heated up enough to blow everything away. It's the same material used in the Bali bombing. It's actually fertiliser is what we're talking about, nitrate.
Yeah, it did, eh?
Yep, it had the same effect as a small thermonuclear device.
That's because of what was in it. Very sad.
We had a big explosion in a country town over east years ago where they used to store all the nitrate for farmers in one big building. Next to it was a wheat silo. Now, if you understand how wheat is stored, it creates its own dust,
Yes.
and that dust can ignite. It did. It blew up the wheat silo, which is 150 feet high by, I don't know, 300 feet long, right next to the other silo with the nitrate, and half the town disappeared. There was wheat everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's uncommon. It's dangerous stuff to store. If you mix diesel and nitrate together, you would be known as a terrorist, because that's how they do it.
Recover.
Yeah, playing sport. Should do a zoom in for the girls.
Yeah.
Men in tight shorts running around, shirts off.
That's because it's a still night, it's louder than usual. Oh yeah, can too.
Yes, tight. I've actually got a pair of tight shorts on, Nicole, but you're not to think like that for one moment. Go to
they're
the corner,
not tight.
face the wall, and write 100 times. I shall
Then-
not look at Seeds tight shorts.
They're wearing red shorts, red tops.
We want men in spandex or speedos. Why don't you just have them naked, Scarlett? Covered in baby oil. Thrusting towards you, walking forcefully. Hello, Scarlett. My old friend.
And Scarlett would make them lunch. And morning tea. And afternoon tea and dinner.
I do like a forceful thrust. Scarlett, at your age, if you caught one, you probably forgot what to do with it.
I should make them food. And Nicole would just give this whole array of teas.
Yes, she'd say to the enchantment young man covered in baby oil, sit down, I'll get you some jasmine, ginger, or even chamomile tea with loads of creamy donuts. You like donuts, don't you? Yes, ma'am. I had a big family, I would run. No, you wouldn't. You'd gawk for about 30 minutes and think, yeah, I should go. And then you'd sort of have one hand on the door thinking, I really should leave. And the postman would say to you, darling, I only called twice at your place. Well, now you're becoming a Buddhist. That is a secondary thought. Not important anymore. Yeah, I reckon you'd yell help at the top of your voice. This would be you. Help. Help. Okay, no one heard me. I did try.
It's funny listening to Billy Connolly last night.
Yeah, Billy Connolly's funny.
Who's he married to? It's a
Pamela
Pamela,
Stevenson.
that's it. I always mix it up with the other Australian woman.
Well, I think Pamela is Australian.
Then grabbing Scarlett. And then make him a sandwich.
All I can say, Scarlett, is just remember that song. Dream, 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 dream. I survived the storm yesterday. It was scary. A few limbs down. Oh.
So what storm was that?
Which arm did you lose?
Because I saw a storm.
You had an afternoon sea breeze, Scarlett. Nothing.
Stop teasing her.
Jesus Christ.
He's teasing me, Scarlett. Was that the storm we saw on TV? It's a cyclone, wasn't it?
It was a tropical storm, and on the news they beat up say it could hit New York at 100 mile an hour. Yeah, righto. They must have one of the worst electrical systems in the world in the US. In Australia, we just do something silly, I suppose. We put our power lines underground.
Well, not all of them.
Well, they're heading that way.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't blow over when they're underground. Hurricane, what? That means you had winds up to 70 mile an hour. Can't wait to get you here when you see our summer afternoon sea breeze and our trees grow sideways, Scarlett. I kid you not. You can't have power lines come down in the UK because they're underground. Do they have power outages? Yeah. Substations blow up. Power failures, the grid, oversupply, too much people drawing power.
Yeah.
You have power failures. We got our power bill 2 days ago, and for 2 months we gave the grid back 700 kilowatt. We used whatever we needed, whatever that was, for the house, and we used $38 worth of their power. So I'm paying $19 a month for power at the moment. With the heater going, the lights on, the television, fridges, freezers. $19 a month.
I'm right seducing.
It's every quarter. We just
No.
paid the last one recently. With the water, is the water rates?
So what's, you don't pay yearly? Don't you pay yearly?
Quarterly.
How come?
I don't know. There's an annual fee coming up that gets paid, but
What's the annual fee?
well, it's broken down now. Like the sewage and the water supply is a separate every 3-month bill.
Yeah, and then the yearly is the land rates.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. That's due next month because
Okay.
we get our tip passes.
Yeah, they'll send it out. They'll want their money. We won't not get that mail.
Yeah, no. The council hasn't answered me on these miniature bins either.
Ah.
I have to send them another message.
We've got 3 bins now. We've got a red, a yellow, is it greenish? Yeah, and a
Yeah.
greenish one. And it's a nightmare. Got to put this with that. Got to wash that out. Got to put that in there. Jeez.
That's the university degree to put your rubbish in the bin.
Had a stir-fried rice up tonight, Nicole and Scarlett. You loved it. It had bacon in it, egg, capsicum, onion, garlic, dried shallots. It was yum. We've still got some left over. No, I don't do a video of everything I cook. I've done that one several times, I think. So. It's very simple. Took me about half an hour to cook it, and now we had a big feed. I heated some up. See, what I do is I add just a little bit of sesame seed oil and a little bit of soy into the mixture when I've finished cooking it. But when I stir fry it, I basically put a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of soy together in the pan. That enhances the flavour of the soy, believe it or not. Then you add your rice on top, mix it around. If you want honey, you can do whatever you like.
Wow.
So then I heated up and I took round some of my daughter. She loved it. And we've had a meal tonight. We've got another meal each we can have tomorrow.
What did Scarlett make? Made like a whole...
Veggie stew from the garden with pork.
Oh, rice on the side.
Rice on the side.
Actually, my sister makes a good fried rice.
I make a pretty good fried rice.
I know you do.
I can go and get it to prove it to them.
I know you do.
Would you like to see it, Nicole?
But my
Shall I bring it
sister
out?
makes a good one.
I'll make it easier. I'll take it in. Sometimes I put peas in there, but I didn't tonight.
Actually, Nicole hasn't been through the house.
We're going for a stir-fried rice adventure. Buckle up. I'm gonna, what did you say? Gonna send you the picture. And yes, okay. Nicole's gonna send you the picture.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. I'll show you what I do, like with, I've shown people over the years bits and pieces, but these are my capsicum. Won't be able to see them until they put them in the light. Now I get capsicum when they're on special, or I grow them, and I cut them up just like that. Now I will cut them really small if I'm putting them in stir-fried rice. Well, that's the sort of size I use for my stir-fries. Whatever I'm making. I made sweet and sour chicken the other day. So you cut them up into there, and you don't have to blanch capsicum. Most of you probably know what that's supposed to be done anyway. Right. Here is my stir-fried rice. This is all that's left after we've had 3 big meals. I shall get a fork to stir it around. Or a spoon. That'll do. So in there is all sorts of goodies. There is bacon, egg. There is capsicum, but I cut it really fine. You can probably see some, but I actually cooked it with the egg. I make like an omelette. So this goes with anything, but we actually just had that for dinner. So that's the pre-fried rice. Otherwise, I'll put into the pan, like I say, olive oil, bit of soy. Put it in together. Let it heat up. It enhances the soy. And stir fries are But for me, it's what's on hand. I actually had some bacon I had for about 4 days and I thought I'd better use that up. So I did. Just put it down for a sec because I'm going to have a quick guzzle of orange juice. Yum. Is there any dark when I put you down? I didn't spill any. Oh, like our old lampshade. Oh, look, there's Pom on TV.
Good little machines. We used to look forward to seeing them come in, and we used to look forward to seeing them go out. But,
So that was our dinner.
And it's called the witch.
The witch. Righto. Here is the Queen of Boit. Can you see her? There's a button to press somewhere, but I can't find the bloody thing. Anyway, I don't think you can see her. On which hand? But where? So, ladies and gentlemen, that is a Mancunian. I don't know if you'll see much. Here's some of the lights. I moved those lights tonight and some have come on good. With our little, that's our actual garden out there. All those lights are solar lights, like the one on the shed.
Your maid's lady in the room.
Oh, hello Ella. I'll go and show them the... This is the laundry solar light I'm going to show you. I know you're excited about laundry. That's our solar light above the side entry door. And there's solar lights underneath that one as well. Free energy from the sun. But I installed a motion sensor for the boss to do laundry at night time. This is just my herb garden. Can't see the herbs, but you can see the lights. But if I walk out here in the dark, boom. Oop, I triggered it. Anyway, the light comes on, floods the backyard, she can do her laundry. She doesn't do it often in the dark, but little dogs that stay here, they even set it off, so that's good. So, that's the solar tour. I know they don't seem bright, but these solar lights are very bright. You turn off the normal lights and you get to walk around everywhere. This is the same as one I just quickly showed you at the back. It is very powerful. So it's set off by motion sensor. What's that?
Oh man, that does look good.
It's like fried Mars bars. I'm just kidding.
Tempura chicken with vegetable, that does look good in the cold.
But one thing we get a lot of in Australia, sunlight. Like today was pretty sunny. It was our biggest reading for the last couple of months. We had 26, nearly 27 kilowatts of power. We only use between 13 and 15 kilowatts in the house every day. So we've got more than enough power. This is winter, not summer. We get an extra 4 or 5 hours of sun shortly.
They're gonna hop on the ghost train over there, that's what Ella said.
On the ghost train.
very nice. The light came on. I saw it come on when you
Yeah.
went round there.
I think we've got to change the setting, like you were saying, though,
Yeah, when I read that, it says there's a setting.
just for night.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we'll sort it out. But it's 120 LEDs, so it's very, very bright. But not only can she hang out the washing at night during summer, that's a good time to do your washing. It's really hot during the day, just hang it out at night time. But the doggies go down there on the grass and they will set off the sensor.
Yeah, because I can't see them at night. when
It's not that
do
they care, but we now know where they are,
it. Yeah.
because they're tiny little puppy dogs. If you flew in over my city of Perth, all you would see is like mirrors on everyone's roofs. Butt hair braider. Actually, I got some sad news for you, Nicole. I'm like a baby's bottom. I got a lot of hair on my face, but none on my ass.
Actually, I haven't shaved my legs all winter.
It's going to be like such wash.
Yeah, it's like when you can feel the breeze running through your hair, you know it's time to shave your legs. No, it doesn't matter. They've been covered. It's been too cold.
Well, for us it's cold. Like tonight is cool and it is now 15 degrees Celsius. And we do consider that as cool.
I'm just letting the European side of me come out.
As in hairy legs.
Start shaving my legs for, man, I don't know how many months now. Months.
I don't know.
Actually, talking about braiding, have you seen what some people do with their beards?
Do.
Pretty incredible.
What they do with their beards.
What they do?
It must be a Renaissance thing.
Oh, shut up! I admit I can't pronounce certain words.
I can't do the finger thing for Ella, but I'll show her the legs. Here we go.
Oh yeah, he's got shorts on. Wait for it.
Yeah. Legs. 11. Ella.
I mean, shorts and socks and underwear. I mean, that's a fashion statement in itself. That's what you call a bogan look.
A Popalix. Sounds like a popsicle. Apocalypse. Now you said apocalypse is what I'm saying. That's what you're saying. Like a popstick. Apocalypse. It sounds like something a granny would like, Nicole. A popper-licks. Never say that again. Siege, you're nothing but half a generation from poor white trash living in Australia. You can hear the lambs.
Oh, it's nearly bedtime.
But the summer will be coming soon enough. We had temperatures in late August last year over 35. It was incredible the year last year. In August we had
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like that this year.
I hope not.
I don't think
We
so.
had summer basically for about 9 months.
Where'd you put the spray bottle?
Down on the floor so we didn't knock it off. Apparently you're weak because you're going to bed.
Oh. I know, Nicole, but it is. I've got a bit of a busy day tomorrow. Well,
For you, a busy day. Yeah.
oh, shut up.
Random nonsense.
That'll be a domestic.
Summer
in a
will be
minute.
coming with a vengeance. You go. Actually, no. We had our hottest summer ever last year. I can tell you that just for the fact I know what temperatures are like every
Yeah.
year, and it was the hottest we ever had.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get it that hot this year, but yeah, last year was pretty. I love the heat more than the cold. I'm a summer person, but even a few times I said, "Oh, it's hot."
Yeah, it was unrelenting for about 3 months for sure. Just didn't stop.
It's spinning.
Am I spinning? Not on mine. Well, you'd have to come to Australia this time of year, Nicole. Like, it's now 16 degrees at night time. Today was something like 22. Wasn't
No.
much higher than that.
No, it was only 18.
No, it got over 20.
Oh, did it?
No, I haven't seen the body cam of a police officer with George Floyd. I do remember the officer standing and leaning forward on his knee on the neck and arterial veins of Mr. Floyd, which without doubt the post-mortem proved without doubt that was the cause of death.
What was the coldest?
You have a friend in Australia? I know everyone here. Nicole, who is he? He's your ex.
Ella, we
My
had
goodness.
5 Celsius the other morning. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Ella's asking what's the coldest we've had.
5, it was 5.
What's that in Fahrenheit?
Oh, well, 0, 0. So not far off 0. Probably about 6 or 8 degrees Fahrenheit, I think. So what happens to your lovers in the future, Nicole, is that they're sent to the colony. Punishment, I guess. George Floyd was murdered by one police officer. I hope some of the other young ones in particular who asked the question, don't you think we should turn him over, get some form of leniency. I hope not for one moment you're supporting the actions of the officer, Scarlett. That would be horrendous to think you were thinking that way.
We're not in the Sydney area, Nicole.
Sydney, Greater Sydney's massive. You drive 50 kilometres from the centre of Sydney, you're still in Sydney. It's massive.
Oh yeah, of course you know we're not in Sydney.
No, we're in Western Australia, Perth, blue oceans, lots of sharks. We know Sydney real well. We lived there for a number of years.
Yeah, see, let's
I hope he's not in the middle of Sydney, because he won't be going anywhere shortly. Well, the title of the room, Ella, is called Sovereign Citizens. Pretty sure you guys would know what that means, to a certain extent.
Oh, Melbourne.
Gary is in Melbourne. Well, that's definitely not in Sydney. He won't be going anywhere at all.
Oh my God, if he's in Melbourne, Nicole.
He'll be staying home for 6 weeks. Unless he's a doctor, then he'll be able to go to work.
Well,
No, you won't be travelling anywhere in the US for a long time, I don't think, Ella.
We were talking about it before. I'd like to go to Pompeii. I don't think that's going to happen for a while. We're looking at New Zealand next year. and bits and pieces around our state. I
Oh, there's some
suppose.
beautiful places in our state
Yeah.
we can go to. If you get any culinary experience behind you, Nicole, you can travel the world.
Yes, you will do.
I've had friends that have been, well, a lot of my mates, even though they're qualified chefs, will always refer to themselves as a cook. It's just a thing in Australia. But you know, Australians don't like pomposity, as they call it here. And that is, I cook, and I cook well.
Nicole will be like a sponge. She will soak all
So, Scarlett, do you know what a sovereign citizen is? And Ella, do you know that? It's a relatively modern phenomenon. You don't know what a sovereign citizen. I'm surprised if you don't. And I'm not being derogatory saying. For my knowledge, it really started in the late 70s, 77, 78, but was confirmed basically in the 1980s as a white supremacist movement based on hatred of, well, racism, anti-Semitism, and the chap's name was William Hale, I believe, and loosely sort of Christianity thrown into racism along with a dogma that they don't want to pay taxes. They believe that the governments of the world are run by other people and they don't have to answer to anyone's laws because they say they're a sovereign citizen, meaning they're a king amongst themselves, which doesn't work out well in Australia, I can tell you.
Actually, it sounds like elbow.
Does a bit, doesn't it?
That's just me think of that.
So we had one just yesterday. 35-year-old man pulled over by the police, not supposed to be where he is because in Melbourne there is a lockdown. And he just told him to get stuffed. Hello, Danny. And they said, wind your window down and show us your licence. He said, I don't recognise you, I'm a sovereign citizen. Police officer asked 2 more times, wind your window down. He didn't, he just kept saying, I don't recognise you. So they smashed his window, they dragged him out of the vehicle, they handcuffed him and took him into jail. He says, I don't recognise you. And they said, well, we got you. And he's spent time in overnight and he'll face the court tomorrow and he will get probably a $6,000 fine. There is no such thing as a sovereign citizen. It's just hyperbole, or you can commonly call it bullshit. A sovereign citizen, home country, is the internet.
What it is, Nicole, I quite often don't type good. I type like my pronounced words sometimes.
But you type with a certain flair from the
Yeah.
Renaissance period.
And everybody likes to borrow my keyboard when they do autocorrect kicks in. And every time I tried to type Danny, it always came out Fanny. So now she gets Fanny.
Yes, it does. Same in the UK as in Australia. Fanny is the front bottom of a lady.
Yes.
Is the best way to describe it.
Yes.
But in America, it's their ass, which proves Americans don't know their ass from their elbow, Nicole.
Yes, it's Fanny. It's not something you say here, but it just kept.
If you kicked someone in the UK in the fanny, you'd probably do 5 to 10.
So it's sort of stuck. So whenever Danny comes in now, she gets Fanny.
I remember reading, it was an old Western book, and I pissed myself laughing. And it said, The sheriff came out on the veranda and patted the local cook on the fanny and said, "Come on, girl, let's go." And I just pissed myself because it certainly means something different in Australia and the UK.
It's like our thong. A thong is what we wear on our feet.
It's someone with an agenda who mostly program or paid, conquer and divide. Conquer and division has always been used by people in power. You know the old story, Ella, if I create a problem and I am king, but I somehow show you a solution, you fear and then love me.
No, that's called a G-string, Nicole. Thongs get put on your
Is it a
feet.
Danny G-string or is it just a G-string?
Yeah, you call them thongs, which we call them G-strings.
I'll tell you how far racist the originality of this comes. William Hale pointed to the 14th Amendment in the United States, which allows African Americans to become fully citizens of the country. William Hale suggested so that if they've now been owned by the US government, they can no possibility of an African American being a sovereign citizen, which is pure racism. But there is no such thing in reality as a sovereign citizen. It's just buffheads running around saying, "I don't believe in the law, I don't recognise the judge." Well, the judge recognises them. Generally, a lot of people that go mouthing off in court saying, "I'm a sovereign citizen, I don't recognise the court," the judges say, "That's okay, you've got 30 days to think about it." And if they mouth off a bit more and he said, "No, I'll correct myself," you've now got 60. They are the perfect anarchist. Anarchists don't just go against governments, they go against society. That's what people sometimes will say, "Oh, these anarchists are doing the right thing, going up to a courthouse with rifles and threatening to hang the Michigan governor, that's a good thing." No, it's not. That's terrible. That's like watching a bunch of white supremacists decide that they rule, not the law. There is law and order, but it is for everyone. It's written in your constitution. All men are equal. I didn't write it.
Nicole, thongs go on your feet. G-strings go up your butt.
But some women just wear normal knickers, but because their ass is so damn big, they look like G-strings anyway.
Oh, Nicole said.
G-strings in Australia are just strings up the arse with a little like merkin on the front, Nicole. You know your history, what a merkin is? You know
And
what
we
I'm
don't-
talking about.
If we call anything flip-flops, they're those shoes you slip your foot into that's got the band right across the foot. Thongs,
Ooh,
the bit
Annie.
that goes in your toes.
unless there's jello or chocolate involved.
I'm going to just do a whole video on G-strings and thongs next time we go to the shop.
Why don't you just wear them and show yours?
Because, what? Don't I wear them? Why don't you wear yours? Oh, no. Oh
You
my God,
make sure you bring your
Stevie, why
six-gunner
did
Marmite to the field if you're going to come and attack an Australian.
it sort
We'll
of like-
Vegemite you to death.
Yes. I am going to do a video on thongs and G-strings. Go into the shops and show you the Australian attire. And then show budgie smugglers
Because,
in Scarlet.
Nicole, flip-flops are politicians. Thongs are what you put on your feet. You cannot possibly even imagine you could take all our Vegemite. There is too much. There's not enough cargo ships you could take.
It's like, in America they call them fanny packs. We call them bum bags.
Yep, bum
See, there's
bags.
so much I could do videos on.
Ella says, "Is Australia getting ready for China?" I
No.
don't know what you mean. We're not worried about China.
We've already got a lot of Australian-made stuff coming out.
We don't need China, though they think we do. They need us, like our coal, iron ore, gold, nickel, lithium. I could go on and on. But no, we don't need them. South China Sea, yeah, it'll be a bit, it's going to be like a bit like the Bay of Pigs, Scarlett. Could be a perfect little solution for conflict. But if you look at the logistics and maritime law, if you want to follow that, China doesn't own the area that they're occupying at all. In fact, if anyone would own it, it would be Vietnam.
You've got my keyboard, Nicole. Yes, they're not allowed to own as much in Australia anymore. They've been stopped from buying
Yep.
out from under Australians.
Unless
because
you're gonna
that's
live
what they
there.
were doing.
You can't do it. No, I heard about the flooding in China, the Great Three River dams. That was always a bad idea.
Oh, Nicole. I will do a video for you, Nicole. Next time I go to the shop.
Actually, we just hire a stripper and we'll get her to
And-
wear a thong.
Oh, that's for you.
No, I'm just doing
No,
it.
that's for
I'm
you.
doing it for studies
No,
only.
you're not.
Just for Nicole, no other reason. That was always a bad idea, Scarlett, the Three Gorges Dam. It just displaced, I think it was something like 40 million people. It was just all for greed and power stations and money.
Yeah, well, it's not happening anymore, Nicole.
The Labor Party doesn't run Australia. It's
No.
a Liberal coalition. Labor hasn't been in power for about 8 years. No, we don't take shit from China. It's our trade minister actually stood up and said, "We're not taking this. It's not happening." If China decides not to buy anything from Australia, that's okay. We just leave it in the ground as an investment, and we'll sell it to someone else, like Britain. They can't make any
Oh.
deals, Nicole. They're in opposition.
Yeah, that was.
They're not in a position to make deals.
No, that was a story that came out. I know what she's talking about. Yeah. There were certain people involved trying to do stuff from the dirty, and it didn't work.
Greed runs a lot of things around the world. That's part and parcel of why the world is pretty shitty sometimes, because those with the money do the deciding. Yeah, no, the Labor Party's not in a position to do any deals if they're in opposition.
No, it was somebody trying to do slight deals and didn't go anywhere, and they got caught. You remember the story?
No, not at all.
Find it for you.
Oh, look, it's not just Australia, Nicole. You could talk about probably 10 areas around the globe. They're having a big barney with New Zealand at the moment. There's conflict, of course, because Australia was the first one to step up and say, "How about you China people? Tell us how this virus started. We'd like an independent inquiry." Chinese didn't take kindly to a small nation like Australia, suggesting that they should be investigated. We were the first. And then they put tariffs on some of the products we sell to them, which is okay. Our trade minister is now talking to other countries around the world and thinking, that's all right, we'll just sell to someone else. Australians do not take to any threats. If you've ever met an Australian, you find that we're very affable. But if you push us, we'll snap you in half. Didn't Australia buy a bunch of weapons? No. All we've got is kangaroos with AR-15s. That's all we have as a defence mechanism. That's one of the things that I'm really pissed off about, the Chinese, is the Uyghur. Forget the Muslims, it's irrelevant. It was their land. If you know the story of the land where the Uyghurs come from, in deep southwestern China, they were there for thousands of years. And then they opened up in the late 80s commerce and business in that area. And all of a sudden, there was a flood of 20,000 Chinese move into the area. And then all of a sudden, the persecution started. All of a sudden, there's these re-education camps. I don't see China any different than Hitler, to be honest.
Yep, Danny's moving.
Plenty of room for you, Danny.
That's squash.
Do you know what's going to happen? I'm going to get 10 of my mates with beards more than me and hairier than me. When you get off the plane, they're going to take their shirts off and just walk towards you.
dress him up.
The biggest country that has been accused and proved to have done it for many years, Scarlett, is India. I wouldn't put it past the Chinese cooking their grandmother if they wanted to feed the tribe. Do you know, some of you like history, some of you don't, but Nicole might know this one. Sir Thomas More, who actually ended up being a saint. Do you remember Thomas More, Nicole? He wrote a book called Utopia. It was based on organised, a bit like communism. There was organised communities, there was 30 people in a district, there was a district leader, then there was an overall... So Thomas More wrote a book based on that, and it was called Utopia. But in his Utopia, each obligatory sort of unit had slaves. So it sort of puts a taint on the word utopia, because a lot of people think utopia is being ideal, which it's not. Because I'm going to explain what I believe and what I can see logically is that there is no difference between utopia and dystopia. They both involve slaves. You would have all seen over the last 30 or 40 years different movies reflecting that. Huxley, Orwell, if you like your history, you know what I'm talking about. And then you start to realise that the dystopian picture that they're presenting is no different than Sir Thomas More's Utopia. They all have organised societies, they have slaves. So when you start talking about what is the difference, there is none. Now, Sir Thomas More was canonised by the Catholic Church because he said to Henry VIII when he wanted to be with Anne Boleyn, he said, "I can't agree with this." And the king said, "All right, off with your head." So I think it was 1535 that he got executed, and it was because he did not agree with the King of England being the head of church, since Sir Thomas More was a Catholic, and did not agree with him marrying Anne Boleyn because his first wife was indeed the lawful wife, even though King Edward, well, he actually said, well, she was married to my brother first. Well, that's true, but he never did the dirty with her, so she wasn't unclean. So that's the story of utopia and dystopia. Is there a difference? No. It's just how they're organised. One is dictatorial or fascist, and one is benevolent communism with the face of fascism. Oh, he had his head cut off. Actually, it was one of the strangest things, Scarlett. I know my history with Sir Thomas More. 4 knights didn't kill him. He went to the Tower. He put the blindfold on himself. He wanted to be participant within his own execution. That's how Sir Thomas More died, with pride and dignity. Yep, Huxley with Brave New World, all very similar themes, Ella. The true, if you wore down the itty-bitty of communism, it's great, in theory. Unfortunately, true communism has never existed. It's a dictatorial system to control people. Ford was so straight-laced that when he found out people made babies in the backseat of him, he changed the structure so they couldn't have them. That'd be right. But they're doing what in the Battle of Monteith Fort? What are they doing? That's got to stop. Orwell's book was actually, I think, 36, but the movie, 1984, was what everyone remembers, Room 101, which I think we should have on the bottom of YouTube. Who would you like to put into Room 101? The truth is, Nicole, no system works because of the frailty of human nature. In a perfect society, if you want to call it that, there's always people that don't agree.
I didn't know that about
Ford
Ford.
had a strange history with a certain dictator in Europe at one stage, which is usually kept under the quiet, like J.P. Morgan and others. Well, the Bush family, we won't talk about Granddaddy Bush. No. He's from Texas. Denny's here. Don't mention Granddaddy Bush and the Third Reich. It's the frailty of human nature. This is how we're built. Our insecurities break us. It's not a perfect world. There is no utopia. There is no dystopia either. Humans will rise against evil, even at the cost of their lives. They will do it. They will continue to do it. Well, it's believing in an underworld group of people running the world that will power people to the point of civil war. Whether it's true or not, it's irrelevant. When people think something and they entrench it in their thoughts, that's it. They won't change. Even if they're shown something that says, no, that was not true, it would shatter their beliefs and their commitments, and they wouldn't listen. In other words, you can have leaders tell lies to the extent that people believe them. It doesn't matter. They will believe anything. There were good people in Germany under Adolf Hitler who believed him and then realised after a period of time he wasn't their saviour. He was their enemy. Pedophilia is terrible. I'll give you an idea. I used to work in the sex offender unit, in the psych unit in the prison, Nicole. 1 in 3 women under the age of 14 have been sexually molested. That is a statistic that can be proven all over the globe. That's pedophilia. So you can already say 33% of women have faced pedophilia in their life. Generally, this is quite universal through family members. Shows what animals we are as a species. Horrendous. See, I would believe you to a certain extent, Bella, but not every leader and not every actor is like that. You can't, because you would be virtually saying only you are not like that. When you're saying all leaders and actors are like that, that's not true. There are certain leaders in certain countries, how they're run, which are terrible, without question. But if you start throwing all of the people into one bowl, you start killing the swans with the dolphins. Roman emperors, some of them were very great. Some of them were despots, no doubt. What are they waking up to, Nicole? That's a word that's been used for about 40 years. You know, wake up. It's really not a word that has any relevance. People are aware of corruption in the world.
Ella said that, not Nicole.
No, I'm saying
Oh.
to Ella. If you think that everyone needs to wake up, you've got to realise that they're probably at the same pace you are. They understand the evil, corrupt greed on the planet. They understand that. They just don't go down different dark holes and start saying things which they just read and believe are true. Again, I don't believe in the word waking up. You give people very little credit if you think you have to be the one to wake them up. They're already aware of the corruption. Everyone knows the corruption and evil and greed on the planet. It's not new. It's when you put your own personal spin to it that you create a movement that say, well, this is the reason why we're waking you up because of this. In other words, you have an agenda behind the words. And there's truth in that, Nicole. You know, the old saying, ignorance is bliss.
Okay, you had your bacon. Have you, Fanny?
Nice to see you, Danny. But I could tell you things I know, and I could use the words, oh, you know, I'm going to show you and you can wake up. But that's irrelevant. Hello, hi.
Hey, hi. I missed you the other day.
Well, my grandfather had the best saying that I could ever relay to anyone. Ella, and it goes like this. It's an old saying, but it's believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear. Yep, it's like knowing something bad's going on, but you don't want to stir the pot, Nicole. I get what you're saying. Well, truth is not what's given to us, Ella. You know, when someone says something, like I said, that old saying, if you followed what my grandfather told me, and that is believe half of what you see, because you can be deceived, and nothing of what you hear. In other words, don't listen to rhetoric or innuendo or speculation. And if you do and you believe it, you're a sheep. You haven't been woken up at all. You're just part of the herd. So half of what you see and nothing of what you hear. People want to belong to something. And sometimes they belong to something just because they want to belong, not because they have any real commitment. I don't know anyone who doesn't know, Ella, that the world is corrupt, run by evil, greedy people. If you know someone who doesn't know that, let me know, and I'll tell them. Because everyone knows the world's run by greedy, evil, dictatorial people. What can you do about it? The answer is nothing. You can live your life the best you can. That's how you actually get by. Instead of worrying about all the, enjoy the best you can.
Is your phone spinning?
No.
Oh, mine is.
You've got a spinny phone. I find people that get so deep into these sort of things sometimes are missing out on life. They're so convinced that everything and everyone's out to get them. And there are evil and deep societies and groups and governments and underling governments and these people are all out to, that they live their life in perpetual misery. Am I asking you to be ignorant, like Nicole said earlier? No, not at all. Be aware. But if you could do something about it, don't you think we would have done something about it by now?
Yeah, I understand what I was saying.
Well, Scarlett, where is the evil and greed coming from? That's a question for you. Where is the evil and greed coming from?
See you, Nicole.
Goodbye, Nicole. Remember, wear thongs on your feet. Walking up the street with a thong in Australia could be a bit dangerous.
She has to have the last word.
That sounds good, Holly. I've never placed ads on any of my videos. They just come on. Well, the truth is, ignorance, like Nicole said earlier, can be bliss. Some people don't want to know. Even though they have an understanding, they don't want to know. I'm not saying you are consumed. I'm saying some people do get totally consumed in all of these things. They'll go on about all sorts of things. Usually a lot of conspiracy theorists will come up with all these one subjects. But then they've got 10 subjects. And then they've got the whole gamut of the subjects of conspiracy theories. They get so deep into that they must for one moment think, is all of this true? Well, there's always an ounce of truth within a lie. That's what makes it believable. But if you get consumed with all the things that are going on and believe that deep down everything's out to get you, you are living a misery of a life. Live life, enjoy it, be with your loved ones. Understand the world is run by greedy, evil people. That's true. Money talks. It's very simple.
I'll just go look at one of Kai's latest videos, see if there's an ad on there for him. They'll just pop
The wife's
up.
going to have a quick look, Hi.
They just pop up, I see.
Online, I don't do anything.
You can choose though. I know it won't
Yeah,
say.
I don't. What I have never liked is you can click non-skippable ads. No, I don't like those. So that's been turned off ever since I was monetized many years ago.
But sometimes you do still have them on yours.
Well, I don't put them on there.
No, but
That's
they
what I'm
do
saying.
it.
Well, that's them doing it, not me.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I hate going to a video and you see like 15 dots. I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me.
Well, that's because they chose to put that many videos on, that many ads on. That was the people's choice. You don't have to.
Well, Ella, I'm not having a go at Ella, but what would be your number one conspiracy theory above everything else? What would it be?
I can't find this channel.
Yeah, I don't understand much about it, Hi, so I really have no help to you. Wife will give you more advice than I ever could.
people can choose how many ads they want on their video, and you can choose where you want them. But most times if you do nothing,
Yeah, I've never done that.
if you do nothing, they just pop up.
You see, I don't have any conspiracy theory. I know there's evil in the planet, the greed. I know the families that own all the money. I know where it comes from. I know what they do. I know what the control they have in certain countries, decisions on banking, and fleecing people of their money. I know all that. But what can I do about it? Nothing. Money talks. Yep, missing people are always a problem. I don't like the word conspiracy followed by the word theory. Theory is not complete, and conspiracy makes it seem like fact. So it doesn't make sense. It's not a fact of a theory. It's a contradiction of itself. Theories, I'm happy with. People having a theory on certain things, discuss that theory. But no, I don't go along with people that want to drag me in and say, well, if you're not going to listen to my theory, you're not awake. You see what they do? They try to justify their their position by saying that if I don't believe that this happened, in this I'm not awake. I'm really awake. I'm old. I've been awake for a long time. But you often get these people that will go into being sovereign citizens based on the fact they have a conspiracy theory of two, and they find the material which aligns with being a sovereign citizen. I think that's a good idea. I don't trust in the government, so I don't believe the government has power over me. I shouldn't have to pay tax, and I don't answer to any law. It sounds absurd, I know, but that's what they think. And if people really thought about where it originally came from a guy called William Hale, who was a white supremacist, racist, anti-Semite, they would probably think twice. Think, oh shit, I didn't want to mean I'm a racist or anti-Semite and hate blacks. No, I just want to be a sovereign citizen without all that agenda attached to it. So next time you see someone say I'm a sovereign citizen, ask them to research a man called William Hale, 1980, white supremacist, mentioned in the 14th Amendment, where African Americans were given citizenship, which these people believe, the sovereign citizens, believe that since that happened, that African Americans are still slaves to the government, the one they don't recognise.
Sorry, yeah, I think it'll take about 24 hours high, and yes, you do have to individually monetize each video. I don't think you can do them all at once because of all the changing laws in YouTube.
It's often used, those words, Scarlett. Freedom is not free. And I would use the word, what price have you paid for it? I've been not attacking you, but what price have you paid for your freedom? I've been very fortunate. I have not had to go to war. I did wear a uniform for a very long time. Well, yeah, other people served in wars. I didn't. Things are never as they seem, Ella. Sometimes you can be fooled by standing right in front of something. You don't see it. You know the old saying, trees for the forest? 24 hours, I see. Maybe you've done all the right things, but
yeah,
they're not kicking in yet.
Yeah, if they're not eligible, because it depends on the content, it depends what settings you've got.
I always found it funny about American history, not attacking Americans here, but you fought to make sure you didn't have to pay taxes to the King of England. And look where you are.
Yeah, as long as you follow what they say, you just got to wait high.
We defend freedom. No, it's an ideology to defend your freedom. In Vietnam, you weren't defending their freedom. In Vietnam, Australians and New Zealanders and Americans went to war in Vietnam for an agenda, not freedom.
I'm just going to go play my game.
It's like a lot of people don't talk about money in wars. It wasn't until just the turn of this century that England paid off its debt to the United States for wartime goods and services. That's true. Germany paid off its debt over a certain number of years. The war is an investment as well as fighting for your freedoms. All right, it's going to be one of those spinning wheels of death continuing, so I won't continue the hangout. I'm glad you all turned up. Hope you have a great day. Say good night to the boss.
I was just replying to hi. Just let me finish typing that.
Oh, okay, I won't till you two finished.
I'm just
If it spins, don't worry, you can still type,
I
so
can
you'll see
still type.
Mr. Gaines
I
will
don't
type.
know
now.
if he can hear me. Can you hear me high? You can hear. So hi, you can hear me?
You just said yes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't say
Don't
that.
ask him 3 times. Did you hear me? Did you hear me?
Oh, what was I going to say?
Random nonsense.
YouTube has music that you can actually download off. If you go into your Creator Studio or some area there and it says YouTube Audio and you click on free, you can actually download their music onto your computer and use that in your videos and it won't affect your monetization.
I think personally High Country should learn to play the violin. Can you imagine that music out in the High Country? Just a violin. He's got a fishing rod in one hand, virtuoso violin in the other. Cinematography, it's going to work. So all you need to do is study for 30 years on the violin now, and you've got it nailed.
Yeah, the music is the big thing. So that's just what you can.
There is free music, but you need to find the right channels, and they can allow you to play music. But I think your music needs sort of a soft listening music behind it. You know what I mean?
YouTube do have those sort of music. They do have all sorts high that you can use free. Download them on your computer and you can add them into your video because your country and the videos you do is so beautiful. Just sometimes I like to match music with my videos. If you watch some of the videos I do, depending what I'm videoing, it's just nice sometimes to add something. Okay. Done.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay, take 2. To most sovereign citizens watching at the back, a lot of money out of that channel. I think if you had music, it'll be great, mate. It should be fantastic. To everyone else, good night. Have a great day. Don't eat too much. Eat good stuff, but don't eat too much of the good stuff. Till next time, good night.